Hi, welcome to my video on solving problems with linear equations. That is linear equations with one variable. Pause the video and work each of these problems out on the page and play it back to see if you're right. Do that for each of these pages. Let's solve each problem. Notice we have line segment EH, F in the middle. EF is 3x plus 1. FH is 2x minus 3, and EH is 23. So EH is the total length. So these two added together. So what we have is EF plus FH is equal to EH. Adding two segments together gives you the total length. So EF is 3x plus 1. FH is 2x minus 3. And EH is 23. So we got a linear equation. We simplify the left side with the x's and the 2. So we simplify each side before we transpose it. Has less work. 5x is on the left. 23 plus 2 is on the right. When minus 2 becomes a plus 2. 5x equals 25 and divide by 5. And you get x is equal to 5. So we have the value of x is 5. So EF is 3x plus 1. And we sub 5 in the place of x. 15 plus 1 is 16. So we have EF is 16. That means if that's EF is 16, that means the total length, that should be a 7. And to check it, just watch. FH is 2x minus 3. So we put 5 in the place of x. 10 minus 3 is 7. So it makes sense. So we're okay. Everything is true. And you can't check everything all the time, but you can now because we have time to do it. Always think about checking. But on a quiz, we got to get the quiz finished, then we can check it after. OB bisects angle AOC. AOC, OB bisects it. So a bisector forms two equal angles. So that means AOB equals BOC. So that means that 3x plus 37 is equal to 9x plus 7. So we solve this. The x's go on the left and the numbers go on the right. Plus becomes a minus, and the plus becomes a minus. Negative 6x equals negative 30. Divide by negative 6, and I get x is equal to 5. And I want the measure of angle AOB. So angle AOB is 3x plus 37. So x is 5, so we sub 5 in. And we have to multiply before we add by BEDMAS. 15 plus 37 gives us 52 degrees for angle AOB. And that means that BOC must be 52. So if you put a 5 back in right there, if you put a 5 in the place of x right here, and you get 45 plus 7, you also get 52. So that tells me that 5 is okay and angle AOB is okay because I just checked it out. The two of them are equal. C, find the measure of angle FTH. And notice we have a straight angle. That's 180 degrees. So that means the two of these added together. So 8x plus 30x, add on 5x, add on the 20, gives me 180 degrees. These two angles added together will give me 180. Simplify the left side, we get 13x plus 50 equals 180. Remember, simplify each side before you transpose. 13x equals 180 minus 50. 13x equals 130. Divide by 13 on each side, so I get x is equal to 13 to 130 is 10. So we want the measure of angle FTH, And FTH is 5x plus 20. 5x plus 20. And we put 10 in the place of x, sub it in. When we do, we get a 50 plus a 20. So that angle is, this angle is 70 degrees. And just to check it in your head, if you put 10 in here, that gives me 8 times 10 is 80. 80 plus 30 is 110. So 110 and 70, everything, that's 10 and that's 70. That's a check. And D, two lines intersect, vertically opposite angles are equal. So that means that 8x minus 20 is equal to 5x plus 1. These two angles here are equal. That means this angle right here is equal to this one. So these two angles are also equal by VOAT. Move the x's to the left side, change the sign. Move the numbers to the right side, change the sign. So plus becomes a minus, the minus becomes a plus. That gives me 3x is equal to 21. So x is equal to, divide by 3, x is equal to 7. And again, if you put the 7 in here, you get 5 7s are 35, so that gives me a 36 degree. If you put 7 in here, you get 7 8s are 56 minus 20. That gives me 36. So we know 7 is okay. E, practice means pause the video and work all these problems out. I'll play it back to see if you're going to be right. The perimeter. Perimeter means add up. Perimeter means add the sides together. So we have a x plus 7, add on x plus 1, add on 2x minus 2. So if you add all these sides up, you will get 38. And we simplify the left side. So we've got x, 1x, 1x, and 2x. So that's 4x. That's an 8 minus 2 is 6 equals 38. 4x is equal to 38 minus 6. The numbers go to the left side, changing this. The numbers go to the right side, sorry. So 4x equals 32. Divide by 4, and x equals 8. So we found the value of x, but we want to find the length of each side. So let's take our time. AB is equal to x plus 7. So we put 8 in the place of x. So AB is 15. And AC is x plus 1. Write that down. And we sub in 8 in the place of x. So we get a 9. And we find the length of BC is 2x minus 2. We put 8 in the place of x. 16. We got to multiply before we subtract. So that's a 14. And a check is 15 plus 9 plus 14. That's 24 plus 14 is 38. So the 8 is right, and these are the three lengths. Perfect. We just checked it out because we added them up to get 38. F, the perimeter of a rectangle is 36. Find the length and the width if two adjacent sides. So we have a rectangle, which is like this, and the two adjacent sides are this one and this one. So these are the two adjacent sides. But we know that if that side, opposite sides are equal, so that side is equal to that side, and that one is equal to that. So that means if we double these, if we double those, and we double this one, we should, when we double them, because there's two of them, we should get 36, because I double them because there's two of them. So instead of adding them together, I'm just doubling them. And 2 times a quarter is a half. 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 2 over 5 is 4 over 5. 2 times 2 is 4. 36. So notice I just check 2 times 1 quarter. That's 2 over 1. 2 into 2 goes once, 2 into 4 goes 2. So we get a 1 over 2. Yep, that's right. Now, we did equations with fractions. So I know that if I can add all these up and group the x's and all that, but a quick way is to find the LCD. The LCD for these fractions here is 10. So that means I multiply both sides by 10. What we're going to do as a shortcut, I'm going to multiply every term, every part of the equation by 10. So I'm multiplying 10 by every term that's up in that equation. So there's 10 times each one of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5. Multiply each part by 10. Notice every denominator should now cancel. 2 into 10 goes 5. 5 times 1 is 5x. 10 times 6 is 60. 5 into 10 goes 2. 2 times 4 is 8x. And we get 4 times 10 is 40. And we get 10 times 30 is 360. We're going to simplify the left side. That gives us 13x, and that gives us 100 equals 360. That means that 13x is equal to 360 minus 100. 13x is equal to 260. Divide by 13, and I get x equals 13 into 26 goes 2, so it's 20. So the length of the sides, one side is 1/4 x plus 3, and the other side is 2x plus 2. So if I sub 20, oh, that's a 4. So if I sub 20 in, 1/4 of 20 is a 5. So that's a 5 plus 3 is 8. And I put a 10 in the other side. So 2/5 of x, 2/5 times 10. 5 into 10 goes 2. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 2 is 6. So, as you see, the longer one is the length, the shorter one is the width. So the length is 8, the length L, the width is 6. And if you add them together, you get 8 plus 6 is 14. And if you double them, you should get 8 and 6, 4. What did I do now? Let's see, 2x plus 3. I double them, I got 36 as a... I'm putting a 20 in. See, 20, that's a 4. That's an 8. See, I checked it out. Again, that's a 20, and I put 10 there. So 5 into 20 goes 4. 2 4s are 8, and that gives me a 10. Now, I put a 10 there. So the width, so now that's the length, and that's the width, because the length is longer. So the length is 10, the width is 8. So if I add them, I get 18. And if I double 18, now I got it right. So notice checking it back, if you have time, to see if your answer is right. Because I put a 20 here to get the 5. That was good. But I put a 10 here. So that was, again, because I'm talking and explaining, I have a tendency sometimes to make an error. So watch out. Check yourself out. So that's an 18 there. G, a triangle has a base of 6 and a height of 4x plus 8. If the area is 60, find the height. So we normally say the area is a half the base times the height, and then we sub into the formula. So the area is 60, the base is 6, and the height is 4x, make sure there's an x, plus 8. So if I sub in this formula, and really, when I sub in, I don't care where x goes and what side x is on, because when I'm finished, I'll always have the x go to the left side. So I could write the formula like a half base times height equals area, but normally we don't write it like that. We put the a first. So if you wrote it like that, you would have had the 6, the 4x plus 8, and a 60. So if I wrote it that way, I would have had the x on the left side. But it makes no difference. I'm going to continue with this. So that's a 60. So a half of 6 is 3. So notice, I do a half times 6 is 3. Then I multiply the 3 by what's in the bracket. So that gives me a 12x plus 24. Move it over, negative 12x equals 24 minus 60. So the 12 becomes negative and the 60 becomes negative. Negative 12x equals negative 36. And you divide by negative 12. Cancels, x is equal to 3. And we want the height. So the height, h, is 4x plus 8. And x is 3. Sub 3 into x, 12 plus 8. The height is 20. And just to check it out, the area is half the base times the height. So if the base is 6 and the height is 20, let's see, half of 6 is 3. 3 times 20 is 60. So 3 is right and the height of 20 is right. We just checked it. Keep checking. Sub it back in again if you have time. And on this page, pause your video and work these problems out to see if you're going to get them right. Volume, you have a box of 4, 3, and x plus 2. Normally that's the height, and this is the length and the width of the base. The volume of a box is 96. Now we could go with volume is 96 cubic units. So I'm not really worried about the units here. We know volume is cubic. So volume of a box is length times width times height. The volume is 96 and the length is 4, the width is 3, and the height is going up is x plus 2. Again, I have it, I subbed in as I have it. You could have wrote down LWH equals volume, but we normally don't do that. So leave it like this. And 4 times 3 is 12. We multiply the first two, done. Then we multiply again, and we get 12x plus 24. So notice we multiply these two first to get 12, and then 12 times these. You don't multiply 4 by 3 and then 4 by that. Multiply these two first, and then after. Okay, so we have now, if you want, we got negative 12x equals 24 minus 96. So that gives us, let's go up here, negative 12x, and 96 minus 96, subtract 24 is 72, and it's a negative 72. Divide by negative 12, and I got x is 12 into that is 6. That's the negative into negative, positive 6. And I want the height, so the height is x plus 2. So that's 6 plus 2 is 8. So x is 6 and the height of that box is 8. And if you want to check, 4 times 3 times 6, 12 times 6, 70. Or did I say 8? Yep, 8. 8 is, I'm again being not, got to be careful. That's an 8. I'll put 8 in here. Length times width times height. That's 12 times 8, 96. So everything is okay. L, we have a triangle in which the angle A is, so what we have is a triangle ABC. If you draw a picture, you put 2x in the place of A. B is x plus 40. C is x plus 20. So I drew the triangle, put the angles in. And we know that the sum of the interior angles of a triangle is 180. So that means that 2x, add on x plus 40, add on x plus 20 is equal to 180. So all these angles in here add up to 180. And simplify the left side. 2, 1, and 1 is 4x. And we have a 60. So the left is simplified, the right is simplified. So we move the 60 over, make it a minus. And we got 4x equals 120. Divide by 4, x is equal to 4 into 12 goes 3, so we get a 30. And we want the measure of each angle, so let's take your time. Angle A is 2x, so we sub 30 in the place of x. That gives us angle x. Angle A is 60. And angle B is x plus 40. So that's 30 plus 40. So angle B is 70. And angle C is x plus 20. So we got 30 plus 20 is 50 degrees. And the check is 60, add on 70, add on 50, 130 plus 50, 180. So we found what x was, and we found each of the angles. So I just checked it out here by adding the angles up to get 180. M. We have a picture of a rectangle here, and I'm saying the area of a rectangle is 48, but we can see the 4 right angles. A rectangle has 4 right angles. And we have this line going through here. That's the diagonal of the rectangle. So we have these numbers, y and 6 and 2x plus 2. So we have, this is like a double thinking. We have an area of 48. We know that the area is length times width. So since it said area is 48, I wrote down the area formula. And that means 48 is equal to the length. And it makes no difference which one you call the length, which one is called the width right now. Because you say, well, I don't know which is which. So what I do is I put the 6 before the bracket. They have the monomial before the bracket. So 48 equals 12x plus 12. Bring the 12 over and make it negative. Bring the 48 over and make it negative. Negative 12x equals negative 36. Divide by negative 12. And I get x is equal to 3. So if x is equal to 3, I want to find the value of y. So that means that 2x plus 2, x is 3. So this side is 6 plus 2 makes 8. What I have now is that we have that property called the Pythagorean. Whoops, make right angle there. Terrible. That's the terrible line, but there's the right angle there. So we have this is 8, and that's 6, and there's the y. So because we have a right triangle, we know 2 sides. We find the third one by what we call Pythagorean. So that means, if I just outline it here, if I have a right triangle, and that's a right angle, C is the hypotenuse, A and B are the 2 legs. So that means that C squared is equal to A squared plus B squared. C is what I fill in my C first. C is y. So y is there. A and B is 6 and 8. It makes no difference what you call A and what you call B. It makes no difference. You can call, I got A here, so make that a 6. And B is 8. I only just did this. I put A there, so I'll put, say A is 6 and B is 8. A and B makes no difference. You can go 6 and 8 or 8 and 6. Y squared is equal to 36. 8 squared is 64. And 36 and 64 is 100. And y squared is 100. That means y is the square root of 100. That means y is equal to 10. So that's the value of y. Notice we had to do the area first because he told me. I said I'll work at the area, but the area will give me the value of x, and I sub x back in, and I work. That's a double, what I call a really good problem, thinking problem. Sometimes you got to do more parts to a problem than normal. When I do math, I try to make math interesting and make you think. Use what you know. And solve for x and check. So I got a left side and a right side here, so I'm going to solve. So I'm going to use FOIL here. First, outside, inside, last. Do the same thing over here. First, x squared, outside, negative x, inside, plus 10, last, plus 10x, and last is negative 10. Just be careful. Now I add up both sides. I simplify both sides before I do my, that's a 10x and a 10, so that's a plus 9x minus 10. So I did the FOIL. I simplify both sides. Now I move all the x's to the left. Probably this is the first time you've seen me do one with an x squared. So I move x squared over. This x squared becomes over. And you keep them in this, like terms. That's a 6x. This x is coming over to make it a minus 9. And that's a negative 10 already there. And the 5 is moving to make it negative. So I got the x squareds and the x's in order, descending order. Notice that the x squared on this side and the x squared on this side, because it's an equal, I can scratch those out right now if I want. But when I bring them over, they become plus or minus, so they're going to cancel out. So even though you did not see another one like this previous to this in these videos, you got to let the math flow, work the math. And even though it might look different at times, keep using your head and everything will flow. So x is 5. So now I'm going to check. When I check, I have to write the original equation down. I have to write the initial equation that we started with. So there's the initial equation. Now I sub 5 in. 5 is going in the place of x. Now, in BEDMAS, we have to simplify the inside of the brackets first. 10, 6, 15, and 4. 5 and 5 is 10, 5 and 1 is 6, 5 and 10 is 15, 5 subtract 1 is 4. 10 times 6, 60. 15 times 4, 60. So the solution to this equation is 5. And we checked it. We got 60 on each side, so everything is okay. Oh, solve for x. So we have, BEDMAS says we have to multiply these two, multiply these two, multiply these two. So we multiply. So 4 times x, 4x. 4 times negative 2, negative 8. Negative 2 times x, negative 2x. Negative 2 times 1, negative 2. And we got to multiply here. 5 times x is 5x. 5 times 2 is 10. Negative 3 times x, negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 1, 3. We simplify each side first before we transpose. 4x minus 2x is 2x. Negative 8, negative 2 is negative 10. 5 and a negative 3 is 2x. Negative plus 10 plus 3 is 13. Move the x's to the left side. 2x minus 2x equals 13 plus 10. That becomes a minus over here, and that becomes a plus over there. 2x minus 2x is 0. 13 plus 10 is 23. I didn't get an x. Oh, I remember. When we have an equation which we have 0 equals 23, that means there's no solution. There's no number that you can put in this equation to make it true. Because remember in the video, if you've seen it previous to this, if you have 0 equals a number, that means this is no solution to this equation. And just to recall, if you solve and get x is equal to 5 up here, then you have one solution. If you solve and get 0 equals 23, the equation has no solutions. If you solve an equation and put the x's on the left and the numbers on the right, and you come up with 0 equals 0, that means you have many solutions. All the numbers, that real numbers will fit the equation. So that's just a review. Notice the videos are done previous to this on each of these topics. So I'm just using the word problems to bring out the solving equations again. It's an application. Word problems are always rougher to do, but they're good thinking. If you like my video, click the like button and the subscribe button if you're not a subscriber. Click the notification bell because there's more videos coming online. And write a comment on my video if you're a subscriber. And visit my math website, mathfullyexplained.com. And there you have 3 sections. Section on me as my degrees and teaching experience. The video section talks about how I'm going to get you to learn the math, the strategies I'm going to use to make math easier to learn. And the section on content has the topics and the videos that are on my YouTube channel. And the topics has the number of videos in each. So sometimes some sections have 20 videos, some only have 8. And what's in black font is online right now. And what's in red font will be done in the near future. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.